Well, let's go to the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline and talk with Coach Steve Prohm, now with a field of 68, breaking down the tournament. Coach, welcome in. I hope you're doing well today.
Doing good. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on with us. It's been a disaster for all of us. I don't know if you fill out a bracket and if it was as disastrous for you as it was for us, but if I feel like most of America has just thrown their hands up by now.
Yeah, I think you always have that feeling this time after the first weekend is over. Just obviously you're always going to have a couple double-digit seeds moving on, a couple upsets, and a lot of high seeds that disappoint on the way their season ended.
You know, it's one thing when you get St. Peter's knocking off a 15 knocking off a 2 in Kentucky, but how does a 15 win that second round game?
Well, obviously just having coached at Murray State, I was really entrenched in that game and watched that game. And I think the one thing you realize is, man, how good mid-major basketball is and how good those two teams were. Obviously, Murray won 31 games, which is incredible. But St. Peter's was really good. Shaheen Holloway's done a terrific job at St. Peter's in the MAC. But I just thought their ability to compete defensively, how hard they played, how unselfish, and the swagger and confidence they played with gave them the opportunity to win those games. And they believe they could win. And obviously, since Oral Roberts and Florida Gulf Coast, they're the third, 15th seed to move on. And Purdue will have more size, but it'll be a heck of a game this week.
Can you, and this is maybe a weird question, but as a guy that has coached, like I want to go back, you were talking about St. Peter's. As that game gets later and later for John Calipari, and it is clear the Peacocks are not going away, as a coach, can you just feel that pressure intensify, just knowing this team realizes they can win this game and we got issues? I mean, is there situational awareness like that for a coach where the pressure just continues to intensify?
No question. And I've kind of been on both sides to where, when you're that double-digit seed and you're hanging around, all those fans, they start pulling for you. And, it's a one-shot deal. I mean, when you watch these games on TV, there is such a different atmosphere and ambiance coming out of the TV, in my opinion, than it is when you just watch a game on Monday night or on Saturday afternoon. The energy and the anxiety and the emotions that are filled with that NCAA tournament, it's a pressure-packed game, and every possession is so critical. And, like Calipari said, they were up 8 with 3 minutes to go. They got to be able to close that game, and unfortunately they didn't. But St. Peter's, those teams, they just keep coming and coming and coming, and they're resilient, and it's got them to the Sweet 16.
I think there's North Carolina fans everywhere, and we know a bunch. And I remember after them losing, I think it was to Wake Forest, and they had lost back-to-back games in the ACC by 20-plus points. They were sitting at 4-3 in conference, and there were some people saying Hubert Davis is not the guy for this job. How can you explain what North Carolina was from that point to where they are right now?
Well, you got to give Hubert a lot of credit. I think coaches, especially head coaches at any program, but especially programs like North Carolina, you're on an island, and it can be lonely at times. I heard Hubert Davis speak a while back at the Final Four at an FCA banquet, and I came away extremely, extremely impressed about who he was as a man and what he stood for and what he represented. And so I thought he'd be a great leader of men. And Carolina was really attacked all year. They were attacked on their toughness. They were attacked on their competitiveness, attacked on their defensive end of the floor. And what Hubert has been able to do is have a relationship with his players where they never wavered. And they're playing, to his credit and those players' credit, they're playing their best basketball at the best time of year. They're confident, and they're maxing out right now because anything but a Final Four at Carolina, really in national championships, is deemed almost not good enough or a failure. And obviously Hubert's replacing a legend in Roy Williams, the legacy of Dean Smith. And I think you've got to, if you're going to hammer him, you've got to give him a ton of praise for the job that he's done, especially losing a 25-point lead against Baylor going to overtime and then being able to have the resolve to get his guys to the finish line. Kudos to him, and he's done an amazing job this last couple weeks.
Coach Steve Prohm is with us at Coach Prohm on Twitter. The Field of 68 is where you see them do a tremendous job at the Field of 68 on Twitter, and you can find everything they do there, breaking down all these games on video. Another guy that has been a lightning rod because of some issues is Juwan Howard, but here's the brass tacks, Coach. The last 2 seasons, this guy's had his team in the Sweet 16 when the rest of the Big Ten has not done quite that well. What does Juwan Howard find in this tournament that maybe he doesn't have elsewhere?
Well, again, it's a game-to-game, situation. And the thing I like about Juwan Howard, watching from afar, is, everybody preseason, Michigan, top 5, top 10. And they didn't get off to a great start. And I heard him in one press conference, and I can't quote him exactly, but basically said, hey, these are my kids. I love these guys. I'm in it with them. I'm going to take ownership of this thing. It's on me, and we're going to get this thing right. And he's done a phenomenal job. And I think 2 of the best moments that I've seen in college basketball in the tournament, Juwan was a part of this weekend. His embrace for Kennedy Chandler after they beat them, I thought was unbelievable. I just thought my son, I was watching with my son, he asked me why he was doing that with another player from the other team. And you think, man, Juwan's been through it as a player. He's had a tough loss, national title game. He gets it. He knows what goes into this. And then afterwards, to be celebrating with Chris Webber and Ray Jackson and his Fab Five guys, the relationships that you have from your college days, we still have an Alabama group text. We have Bama with former players and managers. Those things, man, those are special. And I think Juwan, credit his staff, Bill Martelli and those guys, Sadi Washington, they've done a terrific job, and I'm really happy for them.
When you watch Duke, look, they've got 30 wins on the season. They were dominant earlier this year at times. They've got 4 guys projected in the first round of this NBA draft coming up, but they struggle at times. Does it seem like Duke's playing with a lot of pressure, maybe because of Coach K?
Yeah, I think you always play with pressure at Duke. I think what intensifies the pressure even more is it's changed to where Duke sometimes would have some older upperclassmen to where now you've got a lot of youth on there. Most of the guys playing key minutes are freshmen, are sophomores, obviously they have a couple seniors, transfers like Theo John and Roach is older, but those guys are young and they haven't been through it. And I think they showed a lot of resolve yesterday to hold on a really good Michigan State team that preaches toughness in defense and has an identity. And so I think that really, really was a huge win, and I think can really help Duke going forward because they won in a tough moment. And as young guys with that youth that they have, I think that was huge. But anytime, especially with this being Krzyzewski's last year, that they don't want to let him down. And, that's their goal to get to New Orleans, obviously win a national championship.
All right, if you've seen it, you've seen 2 rounds now. You see how the brackets stack up, who the road everybody has. If you've got to pick one team, Coach, who's the team you feel best about right now?
I had my Final Four is Purdue, Auburn, Arizona, and Gonzaga, and obviously Auburn. I didn't see them losing to Miami. I didn't see that happening, especially by 18. But I'm going to still, right now, today, if I'm going to take Purdue. Today. I'm going to take Purdue right now. I think they beat St. Peter's. It gets them to an Elite Eight, where they'll face UCLA or North Carolina. I think they can beat them, get to the Final Four, and then obviously anything can happen there.
Okay, Purdue. It's interesting. All right, he is Coach Steve Prohm. Go follow him on Twitter at Coach Prohm. See them on the Field of 68. Coach, thank you very much for the time. Enjoy the rest of the tournament.
Thank you, guys.
All right, appreciate it. Coach with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.